Round 2, Bubbles and Brisket 2022.
That's right. It's the second annual Bubbles and Brisket, brought to you by the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast, coming to you at Smoky Hollow in downtown Raleigh.
This year we have 11 Q chefs doing their take on brisket and 21 different sparkling wines and champagne.
And not to mention that, we're also doing beer by Craftin' Hey!
Yeah.
And non-alcoholic beverages from Devil's Foot Beverage and Orangina.
Plus, we have desserts from Bestow Baked Goods and Bold Batch Creamery.
Our friend Sam Suchoff of Lady Edison Ham's just going to be slicing delicious ham, because why not?
Hey, wait, do I have to pay for everything separately?
No, it's all inclusive, Matt. You get one ticket, one price, all the fun, by just going to our website, ncfbpodcast.com. Early bird tickets are on sale for $65 until April 30th. Then they go up on May 1st to $75. So act now to get your tickets. Brought to you by the NCFB and U.S. Foods,
Triangle Wine Company,
Raleigh Magazine,
Food Scene,
and Devil's Foot Beverage Company.
Bubbles and Brisket on June 4th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m.
This is the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast. Thank you for listening, subscribing, and hitting subscribe on your friend's phone without them knowing. Coming to you from the Kitchen Studios in downtown Raleigh. This episode is sponsored in part by Spot On, tech that helps your business grow. Request a demo at spoton.com. And Joe Van Gogh Coffee, serving the community from seed to cup, taking particular care at every step to honor the bean. And now, fresh from just finding a parking space, it's Max Trujillo and Matthew Weiss.
Hello, and thank you for listening to the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast. I am your co-host, Max Trujillo.
and I am your co-host, Matthew Weiss, and today there is a storm brewing. You can hear the wind swirling, the hurricanes, the canes. That's right. We are taking you to shelter from the storm inside and behind the scenes of the PNC Arena food and beverage world. And here to tell us all about it, to show us where all the skeletons are, the Vice President of Food and Beverage for the PNC Arena, Mr. Steve Gorham.
How's it going?
Great.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Steve, how long have you been here at the PNC?
Since July. Yeah,
So-
right after I came up, I moved in, across the street over 4th of July weekend, and it's been rocking and rolling ever since.
Oh, so you are brand spanking new,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So that voice you heard earlier might not have been a familiar voice to you, but to our listeners, and especially to all those bunch of jerks that love those hurricanes, they would proudly remember that big voice in the beginning, Brian Hoyle, who's the voice of our podcast. He was the in-game announcer for 10 years.
Oh, cool.
During the time that we brought, I say we, like I had something to do with it.
You did.
Brought the Stanley Cup home to Raleigh. At
Did
that
he get a
time.
ring?
Yeah, Brian's a part of that team.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they subbed him in every now and then as a left wing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could probably hold his own in goalie. He's a big guy.
He's a big dude. Yeah.
There's a handful of folks there that are still around that have
From the
have
championship
ring.
years? Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
So are they going to put a ring on your finger this year?
That's what we're hoping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
They're doing great, so
They are doing.
that's
They
the,
are doing.
that's the
well.
hope.
Yeah, that is kind of the moniker of like a team or a city, right? We were talking about that. We just got back from Charleston. And you're
Yeah.
like, Charleston, no sports franchises. Raleigh's got the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does Charleston have a soccer team? Do they have a professional soccer team? Maybe in the.
I don't recognize soccer.
What?
Yeah, you just.
kidding.
I just
cut
played
off.
soccer last night with
Yeah.
a group from work, so
Oh, nice. Like
Yeah.
your guys are in elite.
we have a
Why am I-
company team, yeah.
Well, I'll recognize it when the MLS puts a team here in Raleigh,
Raleigh,
which has
yeah.
been a conversation
Yeah.
of times. So
Yeah, I think it was.
We'll wait till we get there.
Was it between Charlotte and Raleigh? And
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think it happened for us.
Yeah, Charlotte won out. Well, they have the space for it. So you're a Charlotte guy. You kind of worked your way up through this event, food and beverage world. Was that an intention? Like you went to school and you're like, I want to work in food and beverage for events and stadiums.
not really, no. But I was in Charlotte for 20 years, and I wanted to be a chef.
Okay.
Because we talked about chefs earlier. But I also was a lacrosse player.
Okay.
So I
Were
got
you
a
a
scout.
midi?
No, I was an attackman.
You're an attackman.
Yeah. So
Stealing, you guys are
Nice
the ones that
lacrosse
stole
knowledge.
all,
Yeah.
all my goals.
yeah. So I got a scholarship to do that, and I went to, it was either, pay, I don't know how many, 40, 50,000 X amount per year versus, zero.
That's like a really smart tip for those of you that want your kids to get scholarships for college. Not that you're not a great athlete, but I'm just saying that the football.
Matt, let me see the backhand of your hand right now.
No.
While you compliment him.
But it's a smart way because football, baseball, track, tennis, basketball, all of these gets like the top athletes, but yet college lacrosse is highly competitive, especially in the Southeast. And
so if you're like Steve and don't really know how to play any sports, you could just
pick up lacrosse and be
something in lacrosse.
Be like a middling lacrosse.
What I assumed you were getting at.
No, but it's a way. It's a little bit less competitive, but there's still great scholarships available.
They are, yeah. It's kind of a, not like hockey, but it is, but on grass in a way with the physical aspect.
And no representation on the West Coast. I mean, someone on the West Coast is probably saying, oh, they are, but not really. Like, it's a total East Coast thing.
I mean, it's
kind of growing.
It's getting there.
It's growing. It's slowly growing.
I played with an attackman from the West Coast who was awesome, actually, left-hander.
Oh, yeah.
Prolific goal scorer.
Yeah, so being from Syracuse, that's where I'm originally from.
Oh, well, there you go.
That was it's kind of there, Long Island, Maryland are the spots for it. So they were giving out.
And this is a perfect time for a Shannon Healy football reference because Jim Brown, one of the best football players ever, was one of the best lacrosse players ever who played for Syracuse.
Yeah, they made, I think, a lot of rules because of the way he shortened his stick and tucked it. And then they made you have to measure it to a certain length or whatever. So
nice.
That's when you know you're an awesome person in a game. Exactly. They change the rules because of you.
Yeah, seriously.
So let's get into this, though. How does one get into... It's not like you and correct me if I'm wrong because I want to know kind of how you got here, but it doesn't sound like you were necessarily a restaurant person. This is more like you kind of started more in these events, which is a different angle that we don't talk about too often, but is widely used, and not like we just had it Charleston Food and Wine or Charleston Wine and Food. That it's a big production to put these things on. So how did you get into that business?
Well, I worked in restaurants throughout college and high school. My first job was in a hotel washing dishes. And then, worked I was a short order cook and a waiter. So I did all those.
Oh, okay.
Those food and beverage roles, but got an internship after college it's called Bojangles Coliseum right now. So I don't know, I think it was called Cricket Arena then. It's where the Checkers play.
Oh, okay.
The hockey team that used to be affiliated with the Hurricanes. They're not anymore. So did that. So you do everything in there from ice maintenance to ticket taking and food and beverage. So
when you say ice maintenance, you're like driving the Zamboni?
No, it's just funny story there. They one night. So I'm interning, and one night I guess this is old building, so I think it's changed now. But the ice it gets air bubbles in it over time. Yeah. So they turn the freezer off underneath so it fills in. So they did that, and somebody was supposed to turn it back on and forgot to. Oh. And it melted, and the paint went everywhere. So we had to redo it all, and I was there for like 3 days, day and night, just kind of taking naps and spraying it with a hose. Again, they have a lot more technology now to fix those things, but then it was that kind of ice maintenance. So it was just kind of helping out and doing different things and watching the computers and stuff.
So you were an intern, so your hands were in everything. Okay. Yeah. And so, but eventually you rose up in that job as well and became in the food and beverage.
Well, I transferred over to the convention center. It was a sister building. So that's kind of a similar, a lot of hours worked. And it was just, crazy events coming in and out. So it was busy, just like an arena.
But what do you do there? Like food and beverage related? You're deciding, or you're just more in an organizational role for that?
Yeah, decide both. Mm-hmm. Yeah, both. I kind of started out there as like a warehouse manager. So you're bringing all the incoming food and getting it where it needs to go to the kitchens and things like that. And then I got into the concessions part of it, where you're doing the hiring and training, and then it kind of just kept growing, and became a director. So there's more heavy catering. So groups like a corporate company would come in and you're doing dinner for 1,000, breakfast, lunch, dinner for conventions for, anywhere from like 10 or 20 to 5,000 people.
Right. Well,
yeah. So it's a heavy.
It's a lot of organization and logistics.
Heavy logistics, yeah.
So I guess the thing that people are wondering, and especially when you're doing then food at a scale of the PNC arena, at what point do you compromise? Right? Like, okay, the food quality is not as important as the logistics of being able to produce it, get it out in time, and provide it all.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think our goals, is to make the menus as small and easy to do as possible. So if you go to a location, you don't want there to be 10 different, like if you go to a restaurant, you don't want all sorts of choices.
Yeah.
You just want
you can't
one.
have Cheesecake Factory
It's
inside
more,
of an
arena.
arena.
I mean, we do have a Shake Shack.
Right.
So we got burgers and, PDQ and Buffalo, some of these great brands in the area. But their menus, there's like 3 or 4 things on them. So it's just about doing those as best as you can and as fast as you can.
Yeah. A lot less room for error.
Yeah.
I just laughed because some lady came into Crafton where we have 4 huge menus of all this, and she looked down. She's like, not a lot of selection. I'm like, what? You can say a lot of things about us, but that one I think we got covered.
Yeah. Was that a comment or was that a Yelp review?
No, she just came in, looked at the menu that consists of pizza, pasta, tacos, burritos, burgers, hot dogs, salads, arepas. I can go on. And she's like, not a lot of selection here. And she left. I'm like, all right. Whatever. But I was like, what did we need to do? Anyhow.
We get that sometimes too, and it's there's not a lot of selection in one spot, but I think there's a good amount throughout the arena for people to go and get something that they like.
Well, yeah. So let's break it down a little bit inside the arena and some of the operational logistics of it. So, do you know off the top of your head how many food outlets you have in the arena, roughly?
Yeah, we have about 12 hard stand locations, and then another 50 portable locations spread throughout.
12 and 50, you said?
50, yeah.
Holy
Plus,
cow.
that doesn't really include so there's the first level and the third level. Those are the main concession areas or concourses, and then we have the premium level on the second level. So
that's the only level I know. That's the only one I've ever been
these
to.
are premium.
When you say 12, those are like your standard concessions, right? Like they sell hot dogs and pretzels and fries and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously you've got all the beverage inside of those. That's part of it as well, right?
Yep.
So that's a lot to manage. 62 separate outlets of food and beverage all at one time. And then, of course, you've got all the staffing that goes inside of that and all that. Is it just, are most things being prepped? Like, do you have like a big prep kitchen, or is it stuff?
We have 3. Yeah, 3. Well, 2 main ones, and then kind of some, finishing area for certain locations.
Yeah. We did a special event with Social House back in the day where we had a bunch of great chefs come in. I think Matt Kelly and Walter Royal and maybe Matt Register, I think, was a part of that. But anyhow, we had all of these cool chefs that came in, and Matt and I made cocktails. We did the NC F&amp bar, and we made cocktails to pair with all these great chefs. And then it was cool. We got to go back, and I went into a kitchen, and I was like, wait, this is just a kitchen you have back here in this VIP area? And it was state of the art. Yeah. It was massive. And there was so much happening, and there was so much buzz, and everybody working diligently all around. I mean, if I blinked and opened up again, I would have thought I was like in like the Umstead or something. Like, it was so cool and so efficient and so like, I don't know, like cutting edge. I'm like, wait, we're at an arena right now? Like, that's wild that you have that type of capability to do those things. And I even, speaking for those chefs, they were like, we did not expect this. Like, this is cool.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we have the same thing. There's two kitchens that do most of the prep, and they're prepping from 2-3 days ahead, all the way up through the event.
Yeah. So every night that the Hurricanes play is an event, I would assume. But then outside of that, you're doing so many diverse things, whether it's a concert or it's just a
Disney on Ice,
boat show, whatever it might be. So is there kind of a standard for all the food, or is every day new when it comes to these things? And and then how do you kind of coordinate that?
It's pretty standard. Hockey games, we're going to have the same menu offerings. We have a arena club restaurant that kind of changes the menu there, so that gives the chefs a little bit more of an outlet to be creative.
Yeah.
And then, yes, but I guess for different events, for whether it's Imagine Dragons or the Eagles or Disney, we do maybe some different things, so that gets kind of planned out well in advance and discussed in meetings, and then gets drawn up and executed.
Do you receive the writers from like Don Henley?
Sometimes I'll get copied on them, but I used to do a lot of when I was in Charlotte. I used to take the writers and go through them and price them out and send somebody shopping and all that fun stuff. Yeah.
A writer, in case people don't know, that's what like the talent requests upon arrival. Like, I want it to be this way. That was the...
What would be your rider, Max, if you were like playing PNC Arena?
Good question. I would definitely say, give me some hazy IPAs.
There you go.
And get me some... I also maybe would like some LaCroix, because I do like to keep the bubbling party going, but maybe not completely...
Alcohol bubbly, yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm just thinking, I want some beef jerky. Give me some beef jerky.
Okay.
Yeah, like a beef stick.
Yeah.
And definitely cheese.
Okay.
Yeah, I want that.
Cheese platter, like a platter?
Yeah.
Maybe a cheese platter?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Charcuterie, if I'm really doing it.
Something you could just pick at and not get like too full while you're performing.
Oh, no, I want smoked salmon. Now I want smoked salmon with a little dill, little creme fraiche, maybe some bagels.
Like bench warmer bagels?
Something like that, yeah. Now that's what I want.
The Zatar.
I did one
what about
for...
you, Matt?
Well... Sorry,
I was going to say, I did one for Seinfeld. Came to Charlotte once in the Performing Arts Theater there. That's next to the Coliseum, and all he had was chocolate chip cookies. That was it.
That was it?
That's it.
You think
No
of Jerry
water
as such like and not even coffee.
Yeah.
How can you not have coffee?
Well, I have coffee.
Yeah, we do.
I do. I have, by the way, as I'm segueing into this, I saw yesterday a friend of mine on Facebook was at the Duke UNC game, and Jerry Seinfeld was sitting right in front of her.
Oh, yeah, because his daughters go to Duke. Or one went and the other one goes to Duke.
But he had a cool Duke jersey on.
Well, before we get to coffee, I want to talk about,
something
say you have 52 different outlets and you need to coordinate all that.
How would you do that?
I know somebody in a technology that can help, and that would be Spot On. And Spot On keeps your business moving. They have the tech to coordinate everything from your payroll to your front of the house to different POS systems. They can put it all on an app. They make it really simple for you. So, all those restaurateurs out there or arena owners or vice presidents of food and beverage places who need some help with tech where everything's not syncing up, you just need to make one phone call. To Tanya Manibo. She's a local rep for Spot On. Her phone number, she gives out her personal phone number. It's 858-213-7820. That's 858-213-7820. Or you can email her if you want to be more in depth and feel more comfortable that way. It's Tanya M. That's TANYAM at spoton.com.
And let's wet our whistle a little bit over here. Let's drink.
I'm getting a little sleepy.
You getting sleepy?
Yeah, I need my late morning fix.
Well, we have something fresh and new from Joe Van Gogh. This is the Katya Duke, Coach K, San Isidro Honduras blend. So Katya Duke is this unique Honduran coffee that comes from the San Isidro from a farm on San Isidro, which is owned and operated by Katya Duke. San Isidro is internationally recognized for its exceptionally high standards and their focused interest in empowering women, climate change, improving quality of life, and the eradication of poverty. Katya has made a conscious effort to impact the lives of women in her community to ensure their voices are heard and respected, from involving them into every single step of growing, harvesting, and exploration of the coffee to the impact of the educational resources for young girls in the community. Katya recognizes the importance of having diversity of gender and all that comes with it on her farm. So, to learn more about that and see what has inspired Katya Duke and the magical women of San Isidro, what they've created, go to joevangogh.com and check out their feature right now. It's on the front page of their website. Ooh, this particular coffee, though.
I want to say like Asian pear.
You getting that?
Nougat.
It's good.
Wildflower.
Yeah.
Honey?
Definitely got some.
When do you get
It's smooth.
nougat? You know, there's not enough nougat in coffee, but it is here today. Thank you, Katya.
Yeah, thank you.
you.
All right, so let's get back inside PNC Arena because we haven't really scratched the surface. A couple of quick fly questions, or maybe it'll be what is the number one food selling item in all of PNC
Beer.
Arena? That was my beverage question, Steve.
Oh, okay.
I want to know about the food. And by the way, I guess even to start with,
Food is beer.
yeah, true.
I'm sorry, beer is food.
Beer is food. I would think that do you look at the product mix after every single event?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's got to be maybe some people would think it would be boring. I think that would be
I
fascinating.
love looking at that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To see,
it'll
like-
be different. I mean, the hockey games are pretty consistent, but different concerts,
So like the number one
sometimes.
grossing thing is beer by far.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Like what's the next best selling volume or revenue wise?
You know what? Again, the beverage, water and soda.
Water and soda.
Barbecue. So we were talking about a kitchen earlier. One of our kitchens has 2 huge smokers, so we smoke our own butts, pork butts.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you want if you're going to a game in North Carolina, Raleigh or wherever. It's important to have something that signifies what we do here. So it's good that you're doing that in this space because we should have. I mean, for the longest time, we didn't even have barbecue in Raleigh except for Clyde Cooper's, I think, and the Pit. But like, those are two organizations in a city that boasts barbecue. You know, it's like, how about a little bit more than that? So now we're growing. Now we're getting there.
Yeah, it was interesting when before I came here and visited to see the space that they showed me around. Dave, the person that hired me, Dave Olson, took me down to the kitchen. Well, he didn't take me down yet. He just said, "Oh yeah," he was explaining the process. We've got these 2 big smokers, and the chefs named them. One's called Show Enough, and then the other one's called Big Mama. They got one, and then they decided to, after the success that the main one was having, to get another one. So each one, can load up, I think maybe 30 or 40 20-pound butts, and they just, smoke them overnight, and
then
they're ready the next day.
Yeah. And so that's something that you guys or PNC Arena created, that you didn't go outside of the arena to say, hey.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Like you said, that's something authentically North Carolinian.
Yeah, and I mean, anyone can do it. You just kind of have to learn how to do it and get it done right. I mean, there's definitely a technique to it, and some do it far better than others. But it is nice to just say like, yeah, well, let's smoke a butt. Let's put it out there.
So I want to know where I have a memory of when this shift changed, at least for me on the East Coast, because maybe people in like San Francisco and Seattle were doing it even before. But I remember when the Yankees and the Mets, they both opened up. I was living in New York at the time, obviously, and they both opened up new stadiums in the same year. Mm-hmm. And there was a very decidedly strong approach to having premium food options, and very different than your typical stadium fare, like we talked about: hot dogs, hamburgers, French fries, pretzels, whatever. Why do you think? Do you remember it at that time, or was there a different? You were just coming up in the business.
I do. Yeah, I think. I mean, that's always going to be the core of any kind of stadium's menus are those hot dogs, popcorn, soda, beer. But yeah, you found people wanting more. When they go out to have an experience, and we're constantly looking at that.
Right.
Even with
when did the pork butts start? When was that whole thing began? Do you know?
I'm not sure. It was before me, so maybe 8 years ago.
So so kind of around the same, because I think those stadiums opened up in 2008. It could be 2009. Anyway, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, I always like to follow the money trail. So did it happen where somebody looked at that and said, we could be grossing more revenue or higher per ticket average. And then they said, let's offer premium. But you're saying that it's still, you could just throw, and you're not doing that. You're putting good beers, and I want to talk about Stormbrew, but you just put out beer after beer after beer and make a lot of profit on it. So somebody decided, oh no, let's do this because this could make money. And I'm wondering, I guess, from your point of view, is it worth it?
I think so. I mean, a lot of places do different things like surveys. They want to know what the customers want, and that's what they want. So you just give the customers what they want. And
well, I guess also linking the chains, then it comes to you also want to sell those suites, right? Because I mean, to be honest, when you sell the season tickets and the suites, the rest is gravy. I mean, once that stuff's paid for, your bottom line is covered, as far as I understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But this makes me think about what's going on at SoFi Stadium.
Yeah.
Because if you look at going to the Durham Bulls Stadium, the food there is phenomenal.
Yeah.
They've done an exceptional job of creating unique dining and beverage experiences and all.
They have a brewery within the stadium.
Right, and a great barbecue and all. And it's funny is a lot of people I know go to the Durham Bulls game really just for the experience. They're not even sports fans. They're
right.
like, oh, is there a game happening? They're like, okay. I mean, a lot of people go to a Hurricanes game too because their friend had tickets and they go and they're like, I know nothing about hockey. But the difference is, and no offense to baseball, once the hockey game breaks out, you can't stop but watch. Yeah. It's the greatest thing to watch in person.
Live sports hockey is definitely, I think, number one.
Some of the funnest things to watch. But going to SoFi, I recently had looked at this, and I'm from Los Angeles, so I kind of pay attention to what's going on.
SoFi, for those people that don't know, is the huge new Los Angeles football stadium in downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah, and owned by the Rams owner Stan Kroenke, who owns more land to be developed into housing in Los Angeles than anyone has ever owned before. He is going to rebuild single-handedly the city, which is nuts. And my conspiracy theory is always oh, well, that's why he got to win a Super Bowl this year, because he's redeveloping and bringing a ton of revenue in for the NFL. Yes, I said it first, folks. Anyhow, they're like, thanks, Stan. Here's your Super Bowl. There you go, Matt Stafford. Have fun. I don't think that when the Raiders win some years, because that will be based on skill, talent, and because of the Raiders. But,
right, of course. It won't be fixed then.
So, yes. So, SoFi Stadium did something unique, and I'm curious. I'm intrigued by it. And so now that I can talk to someone that has the keys to his own castle, his own arena, about making these decisions, what SoFi did was they took notable chefs, John Shook and Vinny DiTolo. They're the owners of Animals, Son of a Gun, John and Vinny's. These are all great restaurants in Los Angeles. And I don't know, maybe you know who these guys are, but if you watch Top Chef, they're celebrity guest judges at times. Yeah. And back in the day, Animal was brand new when I was there, and I'm like, oh, these guys are doing something that I've never seen before. And then everyone else got on, and they're like, these guys are amazing. So we'll do whatever they want. They have 5 restaurants now. But SoFi just said, hey, why don't you guys just do our entire our entire food program? They have, what I was reading was 4 different concepts to spread across 42 outlets, which is not really too different than, say, what you're doing right now as far as the outlets are concerned. And they have a Mexican style, and they have an Italian style, and an Asian style, and a traditional burgers, American style, quote unquote. But it's all done by the hands of these very, very highly trained chefs to give the dining experience of going to Los Angeles a specific Los Angelino vibe. So would that ever come across your brain to think let's get a chef who knows North Carolina more than anything, or even the Triangle, and just say, you run the whole food program?
I don't know about maybe the whole food program.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, I mean, we have Chef Dennis. I'll give him a shout out. Him and his group. They do.
Sorry, Dennis. I didn't mean to fire you in the middle of this podcast.
A great job, but we've done. Well, I haven't here, but I have in Charlotte, and I know PNC has kind of one-offs where they've brought in a specific chef for a certain event or things like that. But yeah, I think we would absolutely talk to, and maybe you could hook me up with Scott.
Oh, there it is. Scott Crawford.
you know,
Well, he
if
does
it's-
want to do fried chicken, right?
If it's not the whole program, maybe a certain area or something cool like that. But,
All right,
yeah,
I'll work
I'm
on
open.
it.
I'm open to it.
10%.
yeah.
All right.
Max, you get 10%. That's your finder's fee.
That would be Crawford's Fried Chicken in the south end of
kidding me?
PNC Arena.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Everybody would be like, yes, please, let's make that happen. But these are the type of things, I mean, you say this stuff out loud and then it happens. We were just in Charleston. We interviewed Chef Meg Bickford. She is the first female chef to take command of Commander's Palace in New Orleans, a restaurant that's been around for 128 years. She, though, even through herself, had worked through the whole army of it. She had been there since 2008 as a line cook and then made her way up and just knows not only just New Orleans cuisine, but that cuisine. And we interviewed her, and she was inspirational and so great. And then later that same night, we're at a little party, and everyone's drinking beers and having fun. But I'm talking to the GM over at Cultura, which is the Wicked Weed restaurant, which we have to get on soon. And Wicked Weed, they opened up to, or Cultura opened up to this great fanfare, James Beard nominations for Best New Restaurant and all. Then the pandemic shut everything down, and now they're reopening. And in anticipation of reopening, they're bringing chefs to sit in with their very talented chef and do these great dinners. And so I'm sitting there talking, and I'm like, wait a minute, Meg, you're right here. You know New Orleans cuisine better than most. And I'm talking to the GM who books all these things. You two, discuss. And they're like, oh. And then they started talking. I'm like, seriously, make this happen, and then I will be there for that dinner.
Right.
I just wanted to happen so I can enjoy that experience. And that's how that stuff happens, though.
Yeah.
You know?
And by the way, this might have been discussed on a previous podcast, but no offense to all the other chefs there, but they had my favorite food of the entire event.
Oh, those duck taquitos?
Yeah. On the little soubrette burger thing. They
Like
were
the
kind of
hot
going
dog
like
roller?
a 7-Eleven thing
Yeah.
theme, and that was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and the chef actually knew what 7-Eleven stood for. Do you know what 7-Eleven stands for, Matt?
No.
Does anybody know why 7-Eleven's called 7-Eleven? That was the original hours of operation for
It's
7-Eleven. They were
7
open
days
from
a
7
week.
a.m. to 11 p.m. every day. Now it's 24/7, but yeah. Anyhow,
Dropping
Fun
knowledge.
fact.
Yeah.
it's nice
for
to
you.
have, it's nice to connect those dots, make those things happen. And that's really like with events, that's what you're doing, right? Like you take, there's going to be a boat show in town, or so. I just kid around about a boat show, or it's a gun show or whatever. But then, okay, how do you then relate that to the community, and how are you going to sell tickets? So what's that process like for you all? I mean, do you have your marketing division? Do you sit in a room? Do you come up with creative ideas? What's that all about?
Yeah, there's marketing. I don't typically get involved too much with that until the food aspect comes to it. But I mean, it's constant. I mean, it's those types of things. Once the event is booked, they're putting it up on the website.
See, this is where I think, the NCF&B, Matt and Max can help you, Steve. I think there's all a reason. Like, for example, you have Disney and Ice every year, right?
Yeah.
Well, what if we got Powerpuff to do the cotton candy for all of Disney on Ice, right? Like, we need to connect this community of PNC Arena to the local purveyors for these special things. So give us your calendar.
10%.
Max, 10% of all sales. Max and I will consult, and away we go. We'll make your job easier.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah,
I'll take 10% of Max 10%. And just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense.
That's fine.
So what is on the agenda? What's going forward with the PNC? Is there anything that you guys are striving for right now? And I know that we're in the middle of the hockey season right now, but what else are we looking for?
Yeah, I mean, handful of concerts, but we're definitely booking more concerts over the summer than what was originally, lined up first. So Backstreet Boys, Machine Gun Kelly, Roger Waters.
Oh,
He's still alive?
Shawn Mendes. Yeah, there was 3. There was 0, then there was 3. Now there's another 5. So plus playoffs. So we're looking at the playoffs since they're doing so well. So
it is amazing how much, though. Like, I know people who are into sports know this, but when the Carolina Hurricanes make a run, the profitability for your establishment and your food and beverage, and I'm assuming, although you don't have to admit or not to this, that you're bonused off of that, but like because the sales, it's just it's pretty impactful. Like each game is just bonus on top of what was projected for the arena for the season.
Yeah, everything's based off of a model that's you expect this much in attendance and each person to spend X amount, or we call it per cap.
Yeah. Can you share that, what it is, by the way? What the
per cap?
Yeah.
Like a typical one?
Yeah. For PNC Arena, like what?
$20, $21, $22.
So for every person walking in the arena, they're expected to average out at $21, $22.
Yeah, I think we were expecting more like 18 or 19, but 21, 22 is what it's been.
Okay.
So it's been higher.
Nice.
And our attendance has been higher. So everything we forecasted,
it's been better.
It's been better. Yeah. So it's great.
It reminds me of when I did my when I was working at a Wolfgang Puck restaurant in Santa Monica in 2000, 2001, and 2002. The Lakers went on that crazy run with Kobe and Shaq, and every game I was running a bar that had a big screen TV, and every game that bar would be packed. I paid my rent on just those nights. It was crazy.
Yeah,
I remember.
We were sold out, and they do SROs. So that was a more of a new term for standing room only.
Yeah.
Friday night for that game, and then Sunday games are in the past. I don't think have been terribly great, but I think 16,000 people this past Sunday.
So what's the daily life of a vice president of food and beverage for a stadium arena? And this is so just to preface also, this is the biggest arena that you've been in charge of, right? Like in Charlotte. In charge
of, yeah. I've worked in a couple of different ones, but
to be the top guy.
Correct.
Yeah. So what's like your daily responsibilities? I mean, what's kind of the day in the life of?
It's different every day. I guess that's what I like about it too, is it's, there's never the same day, like a 9 to 5 office job where you come to clock in and sit there and you do the same thing every day. So today I'm doing a podcast with you guys, and then we got a couple meetings this afternoon, and then it'll kind of be an early day, hopefully. Tomorrow will be different. We have a staff breakfast in the morning. So our president will, on a quarterly basis, he'll feed the team breakfast, the business team, and we'll do that. And then the afternoon will just be looking at, like you said, sales mixes and trying to figure out, how much beer we need and all that good stuff.
Right.
And then game days and concert days are always different. You get in the morning and you're doing walkthroughs and checking spaces. And I think whenever you're dealing with, like we talked about the staffing, the amount of staff that we have, there's always variables with our equipment and our staffing and, how things are going. So sometimes you're trying to anticipate, what problems are going to occur versus, how things are actually going that day. And then you kind of adjust and change it up.
Well, you brought up beer, and we talked about beer earlier as being your number one selling component. And you guys have your own beer, which you thankfully brought into studio right now. Elizabeth's already on her 7th one. Slow it down over there.
Easy over there.
But we're talking about the Stormbrew, which is made by a Raleigh Brewing Company or a Raleigh Brewery R&D. And that's gone exceptionally well, at least from the outside looking in. I see that beer everywhere. Yeah. I've had that beer many times. Can you talk to us a little bit at all about that relationship, how that stuff kind of connected, and what it means for the PNC and the team?
Sure. Yeah, I think our corporate sponsor salesperson has that created that relationship to begin with. And when I first got here, that was the first place he took me, which was fantastic. Let's go to the brewery. I'm like, sure, no problem. Let's go. So I met John Glover. He's the owner, and they're growing. But yeah, I guess they decided to partner up and create a. I think it's a lager.
Yeah. It's definitely a delicious lager. It's smart. I mean, they do, because they have that Mexican style lager, which is really great. Their modern IPA, and then the Stormbrew. They're all like quenchable, just crushable type of drinks, which is what you'll want at a game. Right. We had at the old pool club where Kip and I created our idea of craft, and we were sitting in there crushing R&D Mexican style lagers while you're in, 100-degree weather and it's hot and sticky, and you're like in a pool. Why not?
We've sold. I did look up in the sales mix. We've sold since I've gotten here, since the season started, over 150,000 storm brews. So it's crazy.
Jesus. That's a nice contract to have.
Yes,
I would say.
Yeah. Well, I think at one time, and this is a little behind the scenes, when we were meeting about my day job, and you were saying that at some point they weren't able to produce enough. Even like they had to ramp up production.
Yeah, that was I wasn't here, but during the playoffs, they were dumping it off on the loading dock at 6:30 for the 7:00 game. So it was
ice the beer.
Yeah,
talk about ice maintenance.
It was fresh. It was fresh.
Yeah,
fresh beer.
Yeah, but I think they're even opening up their. They might have already opened it up. Their tasting rooms downtown.
It just opened up. Yeah, I think a couple weeks ago.
Check them out. They're really cool. R&D Brewing. They've got some cool stuff. It's right there, like Capitol, right in the center of town. But that's great. They've been such a kind of a synonymous relationship with the local sports teams. I want to say they do the NC State beer.
No,
Old Tully.
no.
Oh no,
that's somebody different. But that's a good for the NC State fans. They like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so you have speaking of NC State, you have nothing to do, even though they're in the same geographical area. You have nothing to do with the NC State, the Wolfpack Stadium.
The men's basketball team plays there.
Right.
And my son goes to school there, so that's
there you go.
That's
but
those are the two things.
Carter Finley Stadium?
Carter, the football stadium.
Yeah.
No, so that's run by a third party called Airmark.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
So I know there's they've announced the outside stadium game for next year. So we got that.
Okay.
And I'm assuming we'll either assist or help.
Yeah,
with aspects of that.
You got to up the food and beverage game for that, because that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
That's like a nationally televised game also.
That's where you're going to want us and some help there.
I'll need your help, yeah. You guys
that's
can
where
come.
we expect to get the call for the outdoor game.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good.
We'll have to charge 15% for that.
That's 15%.
Steve, so we're talking about the Storm Brew. What are some other local partnerships that you do have going? Because not local, but you brought in like other vendors like Shake Shack. You mentioned PDQ.
Yeah.
What other local stuff is available?
Well, those two aren't local, but Buffalo Brothers.
Buffalo Brothers
is
okay.
a local. Matt. He's from Buffalo, with the Buffalo area, but has I think 3 or 4 locations around here. So it's pizza, wings. Chips, those types of things he's doing.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so how does that work within it, or with Shake Shack and the PDQs? Like, does your people order for them? Do they order, or they just give you an order and be okay?
Everyone you deal with is a little bit different, but we use the same vendors, so we'll typically order it for him, and then his folks will come in and prep it up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's going to be a crazy amount of logistics and organization. Like, how many people answer to you? What's your team?
I have a group, a direct group of 4, and then that kind of spawns out to, the culinary. I mentioned Dennis and his team. There's Shannon, who handles all the finance stuff for me. Nate, who handles the premium level, and then Jim O'Brien, who's the concession operator. So there's kind of those 4 avenues there.
Yeah.
You remembered all their names. That was pretty good.
Yeah. Good for me. I'm terrible with names. So, but yeah, if when you talk about logistics, if you think about like a restaurant, for example, that's, what's a typical weekly revenue for a restaurant?
If you're good,
or a monthly one, maybe
40K during the week, maybe, if you can.
So we'll do that in 30 minutes.
Right.
So it's
Wow.
Just in F&B.
Right.
Yeah.
So you sit there and watch the POS, and it's just every time you click it, it's 1,000 every minute or two.
That's like the thing that I'm wondering. So, like, what are your KPIs, right? You don't have to share with me individual, but like when you rise to a level of this, Max, like you think about a Crafton, right? Like what you have to do. Well, you have to get the staff up to, and you have to have them knowledgeable and on time and clean, and then you have to have the food right, But like you like, what are your KPIs? How do you know that you're doing a good job?
Key performance indicators. For
Yes,
people
thank
that
you.
don't know what Matt's talking about.
Well, the one I mentioned earlier, the per cap,
Right,
so
it's like the telltale.
That's the kind of the main one. So it's kind of telling you what what the elasticity of people is, right?
Yeah.
So what are they willing to spend? How much are they willing to spend? So that's the main one.
But do you think that no offense to you, but do you think that that's a reflection of you, or do you think that's a reflection of the time, right?
Probably the time.
Yeah.
I mean, the team's doing good because it's it's
people,
all dependent, on what's going on. There's a lot of
It's all kind of the same. It's like you sell tickets or you sell cases of wine. You sell it's your points of distribution and it's the amount of accounts sold that you have.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
that's
all the
part of
same
it. You
stuff.
got to have the speed. So I mean, the speed of service,
Right.
I guess, the
Yeah.
throughput in the locations. People don't want to stand in line forever. They want to
That's
be
a
quick.
good point. Yeah, and so that's another thing that you guys have. You have the kind of the bodega or the quick marts in the stadium now too, which is somewhat of a new thing. So talk about those and how much.
Yeah, they're
those
kind of like marketplaces where people can go in and grab what they want. It's kind of like a convenience store,
right?
And a lot of the other arenas are adding those now because they're cool. It has a lot of variety. You can go in there and kind of choose, and rather than waiting into kind of a standard concessions line. But
and it's cashless, right? I mean,
it's all cashless. You
don't even really need too many register operators and stuff like that.
You just have a couple, and that's obviously less labor, which is important now.
I hadn't
in
seen
every
those.
market, just about.
I hadn't seen those in stadiums before.
Yeah.
Have you? Like the little,
No,
like a
that sounds
7-Eleven
cool.
almost, but without the operators and more modern.
Wow, that sounds great.
Yeah, we have two, and we're looking at adding more. There's one, I think I was on an NHL call maybe in December, and that was a big topic, the cashless part and what's brands and different things, and one had 6, and they were going to even add, 2 more. So they're investing in.
How do you regulate the alcohol purchases there, though?
You do have a couple of people there, so they'll check it. Some of them, won't unless you're 21, they won't let you in.
Okay.
We don't do that because
there's stuff
families
to buy
and
there.
stuff. Yeah, there's other stuff to buy like candy and things like that. So
that's cool.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we should get out of here.
Yeah.
But before we do, want to make sure that we, for one, we were talking about this before. We're working out the logistics of our own event that we're going to be doing, which is the 2nd annual Bubbles and Brisket. I'll expect
brisket.
a full, spreadsheet and alignment and organization coming out of you for free. 10%.
10%.
Yeah. To make sure that we're doing all the things correctly. But we're going to do this on June 4th at Smoky Hollow, which is in downtown Raleigh. We're next to the brand new Publix and all this new beautiful buildings that have been built out right now. We're going to have a ton of beautiful, chefs and barbecue, brisket, bubbles, champagne, and beer, and all that, and live music. It's going to be a fun time. More details as it's about to be announced, but it's not until June, so just save the date in your calendar.
Put it in
right
your
now.
calendar.
Yeah. And then, but in between that time, you're probably going to need to get some wine.
Right.
You might need to get
like Triangle Wine Company.
I think it sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, they're around. They have 4 locations. Holly Springs, their flagship location in Cary. They also have the newest one in the North Raleigh, New Bedford community. And then, of course, if you're going to play golf or just hang out in Southern Pines, they got a shop there. And they have all of your beer and wine needs, some mixers, vermouth, all that great stuff. They have great tap rooms within. So we love to go and drink and purchase wine at the Triangle Wine Company. You can also go online and they have delivery or still doing some curbside, trianglewineco.com. Don't forget to use the NCFB promo for a little bit of a discount.
And as the final thing that you would have, your dessert, think differently about dessert. Get Proof Alcohol Ice Cream, which has 7% ABV in every pint of ice cream flavors like coconut rum or strawberry moonshine or bourbon caramel or anything seasonal coming up soon. But we have our beautiful red branded freezer here in the kitchen studios. You can find them at Triangle Wine Company or Harris Teeter or Lowe's, wherever you find delicious ice cream blended alcohol canisters. That it would be there. So that's where you'd find it. So go to proofalcoholicecream.com to learn more, or click the link in our show notes for any of our sponsors and show them the love. As they show the love for us, we'd appreciate that return. Thank you.
Well, Steve, so great to have you here, and thank you for letting us behind the scenes into PNC Arena. And so for all of you out there, go Canes, go to the PNC Arena. You will eat and drink very merrily.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. It's good to be here.
Thanks for listening to the NC F&B podcast. And if you've stuck with us this long, review us on iTunes and remember, 5 stars are encouraged.